The Civil War era continues to haunt the U.S. No monsters or mummies, just us, forced to look in the mirror to consider what about our inner soul unfolded into a civil war. On battlefields like Blackjack and Gettysburg, something still rattles at its core. Spirits warn that history's lessons left unlocked still imprison us inside this perpetual gate. It's like without facing our demons from the past, we are trapped to carry its weight.
My favorite ghost story happens to do with Gettysburg College, mainly because I knew the people that were involved. The largest building out there is called Pennsylvania Hall, Old Dorm. It was the largest building there at the time of the battle. Before the battle took place, all the surgeons would come through town and basically commandeer the largest buildings in town, mainly because they knew they were going to need them for hospitals very shortly. And sure enough, shortly after the battle started, that building started filling up with wounded. The lower floors were used as the operating rooms, upper floors were used for recovery, and the outdoors was basically used for a burial ground. Fast forward now to the 1980s. It's now and was then the administration building for Gettysburg College. Administrators worked there day and sometimes into the night. Two women that I knew were working late one night, and it was about 11 o'clock, and they decided, that's it, we've given our all for Gettysburg College, we're going home. So they got on the elevator on the top floor, pressed the buttons for the first floor where the exits are, and the elevator goes 3, 2, 1 past the first floor, down towards the basement, and they're like, oh boy, it's malfunctioning again, we've heard about this. So they're punching 1, but the elevator settled in the basement. The doors opened to a scene out of time and reason. They looked out the elevator and saw a hospital, a Civil War era hospital, all set up in front of them. Wounded men in the corners of the room, filled with all these wounded men. A surgeon standing in the middle of the room with a makeshift table and a soldier on it. He had a saw, the surgeon had a saw in his hand. The soldier was about to have his arm or leg amputated. The women were panicking. They're pressing the button, trying to get in, and the elevator won't move. A young man in a surgeon's outfit came around the corner and stared at him. He wasn't 3 feet from him, and they said he was pleading with his eyes, please, either get me out of this, let me join you there, or come out here and help me with this never-ending task. Slowly, the doors closed. The elevator went up, and they went out immediately to the security man that was on duty that night and told him what happened. I interviewed him, and he said they were scared to death. They were so sincere. So we went over there, and I'm thinking, great, I'm going to get a pesky fraternity that messed that place up so badly 5 minutes ago that we can, I can really throw the book at them. They got on the elevator. It went down, doors open, and the area was pristine, clean, whitewashed. All the electrical equipment, the boxes and everything were on a wall that had been built in the 1960s right there in front of 10 feet from the elevator. No explanation for that. Fast forward again to the maybe 2000, I'm doing an autographing session at Gettysburg College, and a couple comes in and they said, we know that woman that happened to. And so I mentioned the names of the two women that I knew, and they said no. They mentioned a third name, and they said she was actually working not for the college, but for an accounting firm auditing Gettysburg College. They asked her to go down to the parking area, to the cars, and get some paperwork. She got on the elevator, had the same experience. I called her up and interviewed her, and she basically verbatim repeated the same experience the two women had before she moved to Denver. Not because of this, I don't think, but she told me the same story. So that's at least 3 people who have had that experience at Gettysburg College, Pennsylvania Hall.
The space now has been recovered and restored, but the history hasn't gone away. Give me a minute. What I'm doing is just feeling how the space feels, and it's definitely a full space, heavy, a lot heavier in here. I don't feel any sense of a presence in this room. This is kind of it's just thoroughfare in and through. Is there an upstairs?
There is.
Okay, but can we go on upstairs? I want to see what's upstairs. Taking my time on the stairs because sometimes these things can be tricky. Okay, go into the far room this way, on the east side. This is like a sense of, to describe it so you can feel it, is it a sense of claustrophobia, okay? So it feels, this is heavier pressure in the house, and basically it's because it's been very busy, and there's a lot of years invested in this space. But I don't feel anything negative. It's just like I said, it feels harder to breathe in this space, and so I'm trying to figure out, okay, what's that about? That's my question. So what is the information that might come from that? So I'm going to go to the next room and see if it changes. There's a child, there's a child, and I don't know, it seems like a little girl that is either in the space or has been in the space, would have been a baby in a bassinet kind of thing. This room feels a lot better. It's not quite so heavy. Yeah, okay, so this energy is a little lighter, so it's a child, and it could have been, a birthing room or the room where the baby was kept or spent some time. It's almost like there was also other children here too, not just the children of the house, but children that are part of this space. So that's a better feeling here than in the other room. And so I'll go to the next room and see if I pick up anything else. Okay. This room has another again, a heavier feel to it. It's almost like this was possibly a medical, somebody who was sick in this room and infirm. What I sense in this room is somebody, well, they like the west sun. So So this was a nice space. This is the window to the west, there's a window to the south, so it's got light, and the door is to the north. So this would give the person at the end of the day or later in the day a feeling of warmth. That would have been helpful going to bed at night with a feeling of warmth, which the other rooms wouldn't have that same feel. But I do get that this has a room that was either somebody was wounded or ill or sick, and that's what this room has. I don't have a medicinal smell. So it's not like whatever it was more an internal dying. I feel that it was life leaving, so age related. Okay, so the medicinal smell would indicate to me that it was a cancer or some kind of a health issue. This had to do more with just letting go of life. Okay, so that's how this room feels. Again, I don't make any promises. This is what it feels like being in this space. And I don't know if it was male or female. It has a masculine energy. There's a blue uniform. So if a blue uniform with gold buttons, if that makes any sense. That's all I see. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go back downstairs. The living quarters were more active upstairs, for whatever reason, and the kitchen. There's some kind of a storage element in the basement, so I want to see that. But there's nothing I can work with in this particular part of the house, this space. It's like the other room. These are just basically stopping off points. Okay. How's that for an entrance? Oh, these are great walls. Oh, man. Oh, they don't make them like this. Okay. In terms of what would have been storing down the canned goods and all the implements, extras, this would have been good for food storage because it's so solid, and you would have had a lot more of that. Everything now is portable. Again, I see up and down the stairs, and this is again redone. There was help who came to this family. This wasn't the family doing all of this hard work. What I see is long skirts and women. This is not men down here, but this is like the woman's domain. So it would have been organized, and you would have, and you even would have seen like plants and that kind of thing down here as well. This is a usable place, and so it would have seen a lot more activity. That's what I get. This is, of the whole house, this is the lightest energy because it had the most movement through it, had the most activity that was positive activity. And so it's, there's, down here is where real work happens and real clean work. So this is a happy space for what it's worth. This is, it's good, honest, clean work, and whoever was in this space really enjoyed her activity. So, all right, back upstairs. Okay, the house in its day would have been grand. It would have been a showplace. This whole space is, like I said, a heaven on earth. And so if you lived in this space, it would have been a beautiful, beautiful place. And there would have been entertaining. There would have been people. It seems like there were more people who enjoyed coming to visit, and that part is also here. There are different overlays of this that make it difficult to sort out. There is so much sadness and sorrow that comes with this, and the fact that we miss that when we come here and see the before and then see it now as it's been restored and cleaned up, sanitized. The terror of not knowing what's happening at night and hearing all of the screams, that's missing. But we don't want a Stephen King movie, except that's what would be here. When you're sensitive, and it works differently for everybody, so I'm just going to say this is how I sense it. When I drove on the space, things quiet down. And so there's a sound, a quiet. And then in the space, then I ask, is there someone here who wants to speak to me? I'd like to tell your story if I can. There's a person who represents himself and gave me a name, Jason, just so I would have a storyteller. Jason said he was born in 1812. He has a son that was lost here. So the thing that is prominent about this history is that they would like it to be told. And so the rain is a cleansing. So it basically cleansed the space, gave us a fresh palette to work with. The whole backstory of this is they would prefer that history doesn't repeat itself, because we come in here and it's put up as a place that is celebrated as a battle site. And that's kind of the backwards way to go about it. It's a mourning. This is a sacred site. And so for me, that's what I get from going around. So then I listen, and the listen is telepathic. It's intuitive. It's not like there's somebody, sometimes it is, somebody standing right beside me, but this happens to be more of impression of words. And so the words were, my name is Jason. I was born in 1812. I had a son who died here. And that was actually a full sentence. It's not always that easy. And I don't take it for granted that that's accurate. I ask for someone who wanted to speak. They may or may not give me a literal affirmation of what I'm asking for. I am getting someone who would like the story to be told, so that person's individual essence, entity, energy step forward. He's a farmer, and he has the overalls. He has it's like a muslin cotton shirt, and he has a beard. It isn't overgrown. He seems to be, 60s, 70s is what he looks like. He has lines on his face, and he has bushy eyebrows. He's wearing a hat. It is a straw type hat. He works in the field, and he's quite familiar with this territory because he travels to sell his, it's a crop. I'm not sure if it's barley, corn, something along that line that he transports.
So I think probably the most unique thing is that it is pre-Civil War, right? So you're not going to come out here and see folks in gray uniforms and folks in blue uniforms. You're going to come out and you're going to see farmers. You're going to see folks that showed up as they were. In the 1850s, a militia was kind of a civic duty. It wasn't near as formalized as we think of guard units today. There was no military training, no formal training. If folks had military training because they had been in the military, that was one thing. But generally speaking, it was just folks getting together and said, we're going to be a militia. And so I think that sets Blackjack apart, because not only was it from a historical perspective, that's the way it was. They didn't have all the tactics that the military, even at that time, would have been utilizing. But you come out here to a reenactment and you see folks that are just kind of on the battlefield using whatever they can as cover. Not that we're shooting real bullets, but using whatever they can and using it in interesting ways, and there's no uniform, so you can imagine if bullets are really flying back and forth in the heat of battle, and this was about a 3-hour battle, it'd be kind of hard to know whose side you're on. So you might want to memorize the faces of the guys to your left and the guys to your right, because you don't want to end up in a situation where now you're on the other side of things, right?
So that's this character who is stepping forward. Those are dingy boots, dingy, dirty, muddy boots. So the muddiest, dirtiest thing about him is his boots, because they get a lot of wear. And the soles, he's showing me the soles. The soles have holes. He still grieves for this whole situation, because they were caught up in something that was larger than life. It was like a tsunami came in, and they were all swept up in it. This wasn't something they planned for. This wasn't something that they plotted for months. This is something that exploded. They were caught up in the brother against brother. And again, saying that some of this was nightfall and they're shooting each other. And they don't know who they're shooting. They hear a noise and they shoot. It's a pretty bloody battle. And that's what they would like, what he would like to impart. That this isn't something you want to do again, and if there's any way to avoid it, then you don't want to shoot your people.